Welcome to my messy life. Take my hand and dive right on in with me. It's gonna be alright. Messy imperfect life with Leigh.
Hi, Danny McFarland.
Well, hello, Leigh. Thank you for having me on.
So right before I clapped to start the show, you're welcome. I asked if you were tone deaf.
I haven't researched it to know the answer to that.
Well, why wouldn't you sing on the podcast?
I like that you have, so I don't mess my lipstick up. It's perfect.
Yeah, and they're biodegradable.
Oh.
I found plastic, almost like
No
plastic
judgment.
straws that are biodegradable. I'm
Wow, that's
excited.
amazing. So they actually work. They don't halfway through stop working.
Yeah, they're not like the paper
Yeah,
ones.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, you had made the comment when I sang right before we started. I had a good voice, and I said, and you said, that's when you will know when I fully, what?
Surrender to the universe.
To the universe that I would sing. And I was like, you're going to sing today on this podcast.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I just want to put that back there to mess you up and throw you off a
I
little bit.
appreciate that. Open my own box there. Huh?
Danny and I met when we both got our masters at the University of Santa Monica in spiritual psychology. And there were not a ton of guys in the class. And I remember sitting with my newfound girlfriends and poking them and going, who's the guy with the pretty blue eyes and the good ass? Or the nice butt is, I think what I said. They were like, that's Danny. Everyone knew who Danny was because you were kind of like the doll of the class.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate you recognizing my assets.
Nice. That's like a pun.
Oh.
Because I commented on your ass. Is that a pun?
Yes.
Thanks. Thank you, Ben.
It's like one of my cheap dad jokes, you know.
Oh, did you mean to pun that?
No.
No.
Maybe. You'll never know.
And I just want to bring this up right away if we can, because I remember when I was looking at your ass and you were standing up and you had the microphone, because in our spiritual class, we did big group shares,
Yes.
right? And you stood up and they were talking about something else with you. And then you said, well, it's kind of this way because, and you told your story. And we were all like, and I want to start with that because it's so unbelievable. And so many people don't have a story, or probably never will, that traumatic.
I appreciate that. You know what I'm remembering right now about that moment is that was the very last day of our first year. And I believe it may have even been the last share. And it literally took me that long in order to stand up and share.
Wow. That's so beautiful to know.
Yeah.
I think that's because we were all checking you out the whole year and you never shared. So when you did, we were all riveted. And then the stuff that came out of your mouth was like, it took your kind of sexiness up a whole nother level. I think so.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And how come you waited so long? What was it about standing up?
You know, there's multiple factors, you know. Most of it was, I'd say, a lot of judgments that I had around thinking people wouldn't want to hear what I had to say.
Oh.
I think that there were times where I felt called to maybe share, and I thought about doing it, and then the person before me shared, and what I heard from there applied to the situation, so then I didn't. And at the same time, I feel like it happened exactly when it was meant to.
Of course.
Yeah, really
Of
did.
course. I was just curious what the holdback was. But I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, now that you're saying, there was definitely a lot around. I went through life a lot of being careful to not shine my light, not take up too much of a room, or to shine my light too much. That often resulted in negativity for me. And so there was an interesting balance that I went through of showing enough of myself to be accepted and liked, but not too much to disturb the peace.
And what happened during your childhood that you didn't get to shine, or that you were withdrew or held back or played small?
There were just a lot of experiences that I had where just being me resulted on negative feedback, whether it was, and I can't speak for the other person and what they were going through.
No.
But there were some challenges that would show up that when you're operating from a place of survival, like I was, it was.
Me too.
Really, yeah.
Yeah. So you just kept quiet so you didn't have to get the brunt of whatever or get attention, keep your mouth shut just to avoid maybe getting beaten or whatever was happening.
If I did anything too good, it was a challenge for others in some cases.
Oh, yeah. I see. Yeah. That's that whole Marianne Williamson quote. Do you know that quote? I'm
familiar with it.
But the part I love about it says that we are not here to play small. We are here to shine as children do or whatever. It talks about who we truly are and are most powerful, and that we're afraid. We hold our light because we're afraid to shine it. So that just was reminding me of that quote, which I can't really remember.
That's the part of the quote that resonates with me as well. The initial part of it, not as much.
Yeah.
Which, everybody's different. Everybody has a different opportunity.
I like all of it, but that part I love.
Yeah, I agree.
So do you feel like when you got up to share at school, that was, you got to resolve some of those feelings or those old thoughts because everyone listened to you and we all were intrigued by what you said?
It was a really impactful experience for me. I feel like something else took over in that moment. And then I was very aware of the impact that I felt, and very much from Mary. And it was interesting, the connection that her and I had, and I was looking in her eyes and it literally felt like she was about to cry or shed a tear.
Aww.
And in that moment, but what I found interesting about that is in that moment, I noticed I instantly felt like I was doing something wrong, and I shifted it quickly. Like I adjusted I stepped out of it and changed the tone so that I
wouldn't cry.
Well, the perceived discomfort or whatever it was, and who knows? What most important thing about it is I was just aware that it was just in the flow of the conversation in that moment,
and your mind placed some judgment on what was happening.
That over responsibility, right? The over responsibility of like, oh no, I'm, and I said, I don't remember because it was so long ago, but I said something that instantly cut off that energy and shut it off.
Did she make you get back in there, or
no,
I don't remember?
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that place was magical.
Very
for
much
healing and learning and evolving. I liked it.
No, I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I had experienced a huge part of my, if you want to call it, spiritual awakening and shift several years before going into USM. And
is that the story I want you to share?
Which
the one when you were a cop?
Oh, yeah, that definitely played a role.
Will you tell about that? Because that was something that you don't even look like a cop, meaning there's something about you that's so sweet and kind and precious. Like if you rolled up, I'd go, hi, sweet, kind and precious person. Why do you have that outfit on? But you were a cop, but a sheriff.
Yes.
Which is even a little more badass. Why are sheriffs more badass than cops?
Well, cops is a generic term for everyone. So they have
sheriffs
police officers, you have deputy sheriffs, you have CHP, you have, it depends on what state you're in. There's different terms, but cop is like a generic term that
guys who drive around
for all peace officers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you call them a cop.
But why are the sheriffs badass? Is it kind of like the Marines to the Army?
Well, I would say anybody and everybody out there, doing that kind of work badass. And putting their life on the line every day is a badass, and
you're right.
Appreciate and thank you for your service.
Yes, I want to agree with that. I want to take a minute to thank the police, because I remember I had one instance where a guy was trying to break into my house, and I called 911, and he was kicking the door. And then they said, just get away to the door, go to your bedroom, lock the door. The sheriffs have surrounded your home. And I was like, I was in awe that they came and protected me. That I was so secure because these strangers came together to protect me. And they didn't even know me. And they got the guy and everything was great and safe, but I was so in deep gratitude for them. And I'm even in deep gratitude when I just got a ticket because I was at a stoplight and I was taking my kids down the street to Universal Studios. But when I exited, I couldn't remember if it was left or right. You know what I mean?
Right,
Which
right.
direction?
Oh, yeah, right.
So I just touched my Waze and typed in Universal and pushed it. And it said, go left. And he's like, pull over. I go. So I was super kind to him and jokey and everything, whatever. And telling him why I did it. And he's like, give me your stuff. And gave me a ticket. Which I was in shock about because I had a good feeling I was getting my ass out of that. But I did say before he asked for my stuff, or before I knew he was proceeding with the ticket, I said, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you and the work you do. Oh. And and even when there's like something and a cop shoots someone or I can't even, unless it's a video where it's blatant or you hear racist, whatever kind of stuff, I can't even fathom placing a judgment on any of it because the adrenaline that kicks in when you have to fight for your life or your gun's out. I held a gun like once and was shaking so hard and then my dad told me I couldn't get one because he said, you have to shoot to kill. And I was like, I don't know. So even holding a gun for you guys and pointing at someone and your heart rate and your mental health and your body, it's overwhelming. Like I would just be shooting people because I don't want to get killed. Stop it. Quit looking at me. No, not really. I would not shoot people. But I'm just saying, I can understand when you're in fight or flight and you're scared as shit yourself as a human with a gun, that you might pull the trigger a second too soon and then find out that wasn't a gun he was holding. It was a cell phone, but I thought it was a gun, so I shot him. I didn't want to die.
Right. No, that's a great awareness, and to have some perspective on that and what's to say sometimes it's a second too soon because often that next second it's the reverse. And so what I'm saying is often in many circumstances, especially when we come in, we get a very small piece of it. We're hearing what the media wants to share. Yeah. Even if it's a video, we get a very small clip. It's out of perspective.
Context, yeah.
Right. And I imagine anybody who's has a family or children or anything, or relationships can imagine if only a moment or a section was taken out of a certain argument or a certain situation and looked at it on its own, it might be taken in a whole different light.
Oh my gosh. Because I've said things to my kids.
Oh, right.
Where I'm like, are you dead yet? And I say something like horrid. But before that, I was sweet and normal. And after I was sweet and normal, and I apologized. But just that clip being played over and over, the world would globally hate me.
Absolutely.
So it's so easy. I like that you just shared that because it's so easy when we watch the endless stream of how bad things are.
Yeah.
The endless stream. Then our mind runs with it and starts to hate people that we have no clue about what they were feeling or experiencing or what they've been through. Yeah.
I find all that very interesting and because the root of the work that I feel called to do is around empathy and compassion. I really feel deeply directed in that path. And I feel like my experience in life and law enforcement, and then coming into a spiritual program and somewhere where they're talking about there's no right and wrong, no good and bad. And first thing I'm thinking, like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, you weren't holding that child that was just murdered by somebody. You didn't see that 9-month-old baby who was molested and then the person who does it is only getting 9 months in jail and getting let out.
Oh my gosh.
And so, but I was very aware that, and I also was aware that there is something in what was being said around that, right?
But before we talk about that, I want to hear about you holding a dead baby.
I don't really.
No, but
a child.
No, you don't. I was just curious, like, you can take out your personal thing and pretend it's another person or a friend that you saw do it, or something happened to one of your friends on the force. How deeply does that affect? Because we're humans, right? So when you hold that baby, if I was holding a dead baby for any reason, I would be deeply saddened and touched, and it would linger in my body and my mind, the heaviness of it. How do cops deal with that?
Well, that's
they don't, right?
It's part of the, well, I mean, it's part of the challenge, and each person and each circumstance is different. So I wouldn't, first of all, I wouldn't want to create a blanket answer or response. What I can talk about is that maybe my experience or my perspective, I should say.
I'm talking general, I know.
Right.
And I do appreciate that you said that, because anytime we blanket anything, it's a disservice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm going to. My sister was married to a cop, and a lot of stuff happened on his, I like to say the word beat, even though I know no one uses that anymore, on his beat.
It's cool, old school. I like
Yes,
it.
so old school. But so many things happened, and they didn't have required therapy. They didn't have required work through all the emotional stuff that you're going to get on the job, so you don't become hardened, or you don't. But a lot of cops end up, I was just going to make up something.
Yeah.
I'm going to just make it up. A lot of cops end up divorced because it's so hard to navigate all the heaviness of what you've experienced and try and shut it off, but it still exists in your body, and then go home and there's that wall and the tenderness. And if you get tender with her and connect, all that other shit might come out too, and it's too scary. So you just close off. That's my perception.
Yeah. You know, and that's in many cases, that's inaccurate, I think, because, and it's interesting you say this, because I just went through developing a workshop to specifically work with first responders with their families.
Oh, I love when the family's included, or the spouse.
Oh, absolutely. You know, because this is a challenge that, again, my perspective, the challenge that I see in society right now is there's such an againstness against law enforcement and how they're doing it wrong. They need to do it differently. And it's really coming from a place of a lack of empathy. And I think when you come in, I think anybody can relate to this, but when you come into someone comes into a situation where there's a lot of challenge and you're doing your best and they want to make you wrong.
Yeah.
That creates resistance from my experience.
Yeah.
And so the challenge, I think the opportunity in that is to come in from a different place of wanting to give tools and techniques to support a shift and being able to process and work with these challenges that you face every day, and how you bring that into your home. And as you were just talking about, because there's two different, I think of it like ecosystems. You have the ecosystem at work where you're literally operating in the survival in the jungle, in a sense, and with survival mentality every day. And it's easy from the outside to look in and say, hey, you need to do it differently, and just shine light and love on them, and everything will be fine. However, when you're in the wild, in a survival mentality, that lion's going to eat you.
Yeah, hell yeah, you're going to die.
Right, the lion is going to eat you. And so it's like honoring, recognizing that in that space, there may be some ways in the way that you're operating that are needed in order for survival. However, now how do we relate to that afterwards? So that on a psychological level and a spiritual level, we can find ways to grow and expand from it and process it in a different way.
So what'd you set that program up for? Who's it for? Where is it?
I haven't launched it and put it out yet. I have.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. It's going to do well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting because I felt very called, like this is something that I need to do and something that's very important. And then there was a point where I realized a lot of what I'm working with right now is how to bring more fun and play into my life.
Oh my gosh, that's the one thing I've mastered.
Right. Oh,
like
yeah.
parenting, I'm still learning, but I've mastered fun. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, hold on a second. And so I kind of put that on hold, and then I developed a whole nother retreat program that was about really bringing a lot of fun and play, which I think translates over the same thing with
and I
first
think
responders.
when you feel really good and
Yes.
your heart's full and you're in love with yourself and you're in love with life, that equals up here with joy and happiness and fun and playfulness.
Absolutely.
You have the freedom to do that because you're not so bogged down in a story or a thought.
Right.
Yeah.
Overanalyzing. So
Tell me right now, after
Right
I
now.
show my shoes.
Hot. I love these.
Hey,
oh my God.
I've started pulling, and I've never worn this shirt before. So I've just started pulling out things from my closet for these. And this reminded me of you because of your blue eyes. And the one time I saw a Facebook picture or Instagram of you on a boat in the water was blue, and it was blue eyeballs. And I was pissed that I wasn't invited. Do you have a boat or a friend with a boat?
I did have a boat, and it sank.
What happened?
So I don't know if you want to go sailing with me.
No. But I do.
I'm now a proud owner of a submarine. It's pretty cool.
What?
Yeah. Well, once it sank, it was no longer a boat.
Oh my God. Wait, why would you buy a submarine? I can't lay out on the submarine.
No.
Okay. But anyway, it was like, so I wore all this blue stuff because for some reason, it's my favorite color. And I think it's just your eyeballs.
Well, you know, sailing was something I was introduced to a few years ago. And the moment I went out there, it was like, oh my God, this is where it was like I had to have had a past life as a sailor.
Yeah. You just connected so deeply.
It was unbelievable. It was like instantly like, and if I could share real quick, I have an amazing, sailing is a metaphor for life for me.
Tell me.
So what I found really interesting about it is just like in life, we may have a destination, a goal, right? Just like you're plotting a course.
You're
in
exactly
sailing,
right. Keep
right?
going. I love this.
So you're trying to course there. So I look at the tides, the currents, the all the different aspects of
all the
what's going to
things that are
support
going to
me,
come on your path.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I chart my course. But then we get on our boat and we get out there in the big wide open ocean, like in life. And we're going along and everything seems great. And suddenly the winds change.
Mm.
How do we relate to that? In life, suddenly something starts to go in a different direction. Do I start to get upset about it? Do I blame myself? Do I blame someone else? Do I think I'm doing something wrong? Right? But in sailing, what would you do?
You would say, coming about.
Yeah. You turn your sails back into the wind.
Yeah.
And you might be heading in a slightly different direction.
You are heading in a different direction.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, then you have to go back, but you instantly, when that comes, you're going down a new path.
That's right. And often we still end up at the same destination. And sometimes we may end up at a different destination. Because sometimes I think in the world today of spiritual growth, personal growth, spiritual growth, and manifestation, it plays really into our ego to where we start to want to control everything. We start to think that, well, I can manifest what I want, which when I'm saying it's my ego.
We're out of line.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's things that are just, I'm yet to see one of these manifestors keep the sun from coming up tomorrow morning. Right. So there's some things that are just what is.
Yeah. I think that manifestation is just having a really clear thing you want, or really clear what you want to create or whatever. And then you release it and you start walking.
Yeah.
And it might take 5 years to get over there, or it might be like in 6 months. And then you get there and you're like, I don't want to be here. You know what I mean? And then whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So going back to the metaphor, we're on our way, right? And I'm going, I'm going to show you the whales. They're jumping over here. It's going to be amazing. And suddenly I start heading in a different direction. Yeah. And then now what starts to happen, my energy is constantly flowing, right? So where's our attention? Is it in the present, or is it in the past, or what should have been, could have been? Am I still thinking I'm focused on the whales and how we're missing out on it and what that experience was going to be like? But meanwhile, on the other side of the boat, there's a school of dolphins jumping.
Yes, yeah. That's right.
But I never even see it.
Right.
Because I'm focused over here instead of being present and being open to receiving.
What an unbelievable metaphor. I love it so much.
Thank you.
And I love that you found it while you were doing your passion.
That's right.
Your instant connection to the sea.
Well, and what's great about it too is sometimes the wind will completely stop, just like in life.
Oh, there's more to the metaphor.
Absolutely.
I didn't know this was the one that keeps on giving. Go on, go ahead, brother.
So imagine if the wind stops.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be in life? Sometimes we perceive ourselves as being stuck. We must have did something wrong. So it's like, how am I going to relate to it, right? It's not the issue that's the issue. It's how I relate to the issue that's the issue.
Well, let's say that slowly because not everyone knows that. So it's realizing that stuff's always going to happen in life. Mm-hmm. And it's not the thing that happens. It's not the issue that's the issue. It's how you relate to the issue. That's the issue. So the wave's always coming. The stillness is always coming. The tidal wave's going to knock your ass over. How will you be with yourself as you navigate it?
Absolutely.
That's the key to, I think, peace.
And and that's the what
and
is
self-love,
part, right?
Yeah.
So the what is the wind stopped. And I'm sitting there. So how can I choose to relate to that?
Well, yeah.
Right. I can be upset about it, or I can be like, hey, let's go down and get some champagne and sandwiches. Let's
hell yes.
have a little party, right?
But I want something different than sandwiches. I want champagne with maybe caviar. I don't even know if I like it, but I like how it sounds together.
No bread.
Maybe a cracker, gluten-free.
Well, you might be reading a good book, and the point is maybe there's an opportunity for that stillness to serve you. Maybe that often, I know for myself, I perceived stillness as being stagnant, which stagnant comes with like a negative condensation, right? Which I was aware of that. I was like, oh, wait, that's interesting. So I don't think I'm growing because I'm still. I don't think I'm accomplishing stuff because I'm still. So maybe the opportunity was for me to take advantage of that stillness.
And or to just cut off the word stagnant.
Well, of course. Yeah, that's the point of it.
And just allow stillness to be stillness. And if we don't make time to be still, the universe knocks us on our ass. Yeah. So we're laid up and we have to be still. Now tell your damn story right now.
Oh, that story, the stillness story?
No, not your whatever that was called you just did. What was that called? Your
saline metaphor?
Yeah.
Metaphor for life?
Okay. No more metaphors for lives with your beautiful experiences. I want to hear about this freaking life-changing thing that riveted me in school.
Okay. So you want me to tell
you tell how you tell it. Okay. No, not quickly.
Well, I'm
quickly
long-winded.
Then let's wrap it up already.
So while I was a deputy sheriff and while working on patrol, I had made a consensual contact with a parolee at large. Well, I didn't know he was a parolee at large. It was consensual contact. Somebody had pulled up. They'd driven a car that matched the description of 4 guys in a purple Honda doing burglaries in the neighborhood. So it was like, okay, being proactive, like, hey, if he happens to pull into a business here, I'll go talk to him. Otherwise, I'll just keep going on my way. And sure enough, pulled into a Hollywood video, which dates how long ago that was.
Right.
If anybody remembers when there was Blockbuster and Hollywood videos.
Why did you think he might pull in?
Well, it was just one of those things. Well, if he happens to pull over, he hadn't done anything wrong.
Had you seen him yet, or you were just thinking about this call-in?
No, I was driving by a gas station and saw this guy pulling out, and the car matched the description. So it was more of like, hey, run the plates, check back clear. It was check back registered to somebody much older than him, but it doesn't necessarily mean a little insight into the journey of maybe a vehicle stop. Well, this wasn't even a vehicle stop.
No,
That's
we're
what
not
you call
segueing
a consensual
into
contact.
We are not segueing into a journey of vehicle stops. I don't know shit about vehicle stops. I want you to keep going with
just so you know, like I don't. You know how people branch off like a tree? I'm more like ivy. I kind of just.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm cutting those growing ivies.
You got to funnel me in.
I'm going to keep you on track. So you walk up and talk to him, or
I did. So
in the parking lot.
I did. So he pulls into. It was 8:00 in the morning on a Wednesday. They use it even now still for training as a perfect example of how, in a moment's notice, things can change. Your entire life, and in law enforcement at least, can shift in that moment, and that's what I think often goes missed when evaluating the situation. So you imagine a Wednesday morning, 8 a.m, people were just on their way to work, like no big deal. Here's a consensual contact, nothing went wrong. Guy pulls into a Hollywood video, hops off the hops out to drop a movie in an overnight slot, and he's walking back to his vehicle. So about the time I pulled up and approached him, so keep in mind, I didn't park behind him because that would imply detention with a consensual contact. I'm not allowed to do that by law. So I parked off to the side, and when I walk up to him, then it's like the typical, hey, are you on probation, parole? You have any guns, weapons, anything, knives, grenades, whatever on you? He's like, no, you mind if I do a cursory search? Want to, go through? You got a driver's license? Yes, it's in my glove box. Okay, great. Can I see it? So you notice everything is a question, right? I'm not telling him to do anything because.
But I have a question.
Yes.
What? So he pulled in. You saw the car, thought it matched something. Then you just walk up to the guy and go, "Hey, can I see your stuff and frisk you?" But you didn't say why.
No, everything is a question. I just say, hey, how you doing? Da, da, da. Are you on probation, parole?
So you just start having a conversation.
Just a conversation.
I see.
Literally.
And why were you having a conversation because of the car?
Just to see if potentially it could have been involved with the burglaries that have been going on in that neighborhood.
I see. Okay, thank you.
With, a low probability or chance that it did, but it's just being proactive. And so he goes, his driver's license, the car. Okay, great. So he sits in his car, leans over, pops it out, gives me his driver's license. I hand it to my partner. He steps to the back of the vehicle, switches channels, radio channels to a different channel, records to run it. Meanwhile, I'm just BSing with the guy. It's super easy. I step around the door. The car door is open. Driver's door is open. I step around the door and I'm looking at him, just chatting with him, like being fun and playful. Like, hey, how's it going? Oh yeah, just BS stuff, keeping it low key. Meanwhile, I can see him and I can see my partner at the back, and he signals to me, which means cuff him up. I'm on the main channel, so I couldn't hear what came back. However, unbeknownst to me, it turned out that he had a warrant for his arrest because he was a parolee at large.
Oh, shit.
Which means parolee at large is he was in prison and then let out early to be on parole, but he had certain
guidelines that he didn't meet.
He needed to meet, and he was basically on the run.
Man.
And so I step around. So I'm like, okay, well, he's sitting in the car. That's not a place I want him to be safety-wise. So very casually came up to him, tapped him on the shoulder. Hey, do me a favor, step out of the car real quick. But he knew. He knew it was just a matter of moments. So he instantly reached forward, turned the car on, and threw it in reverse and tried to take off. So I at that point, when he turned the car on and was going for the stick shift, I started to grabbed his shoulder and started to pull him out of the vehicle. But he slammed on the gas and the car took off in reverse while I was between the door and the car. So I ended up pivoting around and into a sprint, which kept me, kind of got hit by the car and pushed, but I was able to run without getting ran over right there. And then I was pretty fast at the time, but I couldn't keep up with the car. Mm-hmm. So within seconds, I drifted back and was about to get my heels clipped and ran over by the car. I was able to grab the door ledge where the window was down, and then went from his shoulder to the top of his seat. Now imagine I'm facing to the back of the car, the direction we're going. And I did a push-up.
Oh my gosh.
So I was able to get my feet above the ground, which kept me from getting ran over. However, now I'm just hovering outside of the car while we're flying in reverse.
And you're seeing what's coming because you're facing it.
Oh yeah.
And he's going backwards.
Yeah. So he's flooring it as fast as he can to get away.
Oh my gosh.
And so in training, we do a lot of vehicle high-speed types training. And one of them is driving fast in reverse. And so I know you lose control pretty quickly. It's hard to control the vehicle. So instantly I'm like, I need to get away from the car, but I couldn't dive over the door to get away from the car. I knew I didn't want to lose control or hit something while I was out there. So I tried to dive in the car, but I didn't want to dive across his lap because then my hands would be up here and my gun would be like on his lap. And so I saw a little space between the back of his seat and the B column.
And all of this is happening in a split second.
Seconds, if that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, go on.
So there's like just that. And so I see that little space. Okay, I'm going to try to slice in there. And I slice my upper body through the back of his driver's seat. So my chest but I get stuck because it's very narrow.
Oh my God.
So my chest is pinned up against the back of the seat. The B column is pinned up against my spine right above my gun belt. and my right arm's stuck down. I'm stuck. I can't go further in. I can't come out. My gun belt down. I'm hanging out of the car. My legs are dragging on the street outside. The only thing that was free was my left arm. And I realize I'm stuck now. So the only thing I really left to do is try to reach up and choke. I get kind of a half-ass headlock on him and started to try. About that same time I do that, my partner, who had dove out of the way of the car as it took off, drew down. And the only thing he could do to try to save my life was shoot at the guy. But at this point, I had just dove into the vehicle. My head was next to his head.
Oh my gosh.
The rounds are hitting the bullets are hitting the vehicle a foot or two below our head into the radiator and so forth. The suspect ended up dragging me 115 yards through a parking lot. So you imagine a little over a football field later.
Oh my gosh.
We hit a light standard going approximately 70 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh.
So kind of like driving down a freeway and hitting a brick wall while you're halfway in and halfway out with your back. You know, the body doesn't bend this way like it does this. So it just snapped me. Door comes flying shut across the legs. I get dislodged, shot up into the roof. I hit my head there, which breaks my neck. I fly into the rear windshield, knock that out. And at this point, I'm unconscious, and I just bounce around like a pinball and end up, the whole trunk got smashed into the rear seat. And I'm unconscious with, if you can imagine, my head and shoulders in the back seat feet area on the passenger side, laid out across.
Oh my gosh.
With my feet broken through the rear side window. Just taking a little nap.
Oh. So 1 second you're like, hey buddy, blah, blah, blah. You get that cuff signal. And then you're unconscious 5 seconds later when he floored it. 70 miles an hour. Holy shit.
Just like that. I mean, that's how, in a moment, so everything was going great. Like I said, Wednesday morning, 8 a.m. Nothing went wrong. Nobody did anything wrong.
And you're thinking, oh, it's 8 a.m, so no one's drunk or high yet.
Right. He's talking to me. Everything's fine. And we're just having a regular conversation.
Okay. How long were you out till you woke up? Were you in a coma or something, or did they put you in an induced coma?
No. I was unconscious in the back seat. I can say this, that when I came to, I played a lot of football growing up and getting hit really hard, and we call it getting lit up. And you kind of try to get up off the ground and everything's blurry. You can't, they might call it a concussion these days. Back in my day,
but this was way worse.
Right. So I remember just trying to push myself up, and I could hear a female voice telling me, don't move, the ambulance is here. And it turns out it was a female deputy who wasn't on scene when it happened. And the ambulance obviously wasn't there. So it was, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, something like that, probably. And then I was like, no, I'm fine. As I'm trying to push up, and then boom, I go unconscious again. And then when I come to, they had already had me on the gurney and were clicking me up into the ambulance.
Oh my gosh, what was wrong with you?
Like personally, or
no, I know all that. I can sense that part. What was wrong with your body?
Wow,
tell me the injuries you got.
Well,
So you broke your neck.
Yes, so I broke my neck.
And where did you break it?
In my C5.
So can that paralyze you?
Absolutely. It was a lot of very fortunate. So I broke it from the back into my right. I obstructed my right vertebral artery as well, which supplies blood to the back of my brain.
Oh my gosh.
And then then I ruptured and herniated several discs in my neck and my back. Down my spine a lot of it was
spinal cord and broken neck.
Yeah, tore a lot of tendons and ligaments and tons of nerve damage.
Oh,
tons of nerve
so
damage.
painful.
That was just the worst. I mean, more than
so painful.
The broken neck or anything, and all the nerve damage and fibromyalgia throughout my body, and carpal tunnel in both wrists, and I couldn't move my shoulder.
And you broke your ankles?
No, I didn't break anything. Didn't break anything else.
So it was your
bones.
head you bashed,
yeah,
and your artery to your brain, and you broke your neck.
As much as they found out, I mean, they weren't doing a whole lot to to do more work than they had to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it took them 5 months to figure out I broke my neck.
Wow.
Because, well, see, that was part of my opportunities and all that was I didn't do a whole lot of complaining.
Yeah.
The way I related to struggle and pain was to just make the best of the situation, laugh about it, to not ask for help. And yeah, they literally just sent me home that night and with a neck brace. And then I would have these episodes throughout the years where everything would just like paralyze. I would go in this excruciating pain, and then everything like a form of paralysis where my arms and body would just fall over, and then they'd have to on the ground. They'd have to come scoop me up and take me in, and then they would just shoot me up with a bunch of medication and send me back home.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you wrote something before you came on, you talked about being in excruciating pain for a long time from the nerve damage.
From all of it. I mean, yeah.
Everything. And when you hurt your neck, like I was in a car accident and I still crack it and stuff, you know, and it was 25 years ago. So you have that residual, right? Especially because they didn't know you broke your freaking body.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know,
Did you do drugs?
No.
No, I mean pain meds?
Oh yeah.
Did you get addicted to them? Because...
No. Well, I mean, that's always a great question because, like, what is addictive?
But the Oxycontin, now that people are dying, they give them that for pain. And they become addicts and dying in huge lawsuits right now because of it.
Right.
So you didn't have that.
I didn't. But the way I relate to that is sometimes my experience in that situation was, I was always the type of person that I would never take medications. I would, it was very much the fact that I had to take anything, and I had to take a lot of different things, 10 different medications, I believe, for different issues and different problems. And what also made that very challenging is because of what we hear on the news or TV, other people go, oh, well, you probably don't need them. You're probably just addicted, or you're probably just, but
like, no, I'm in severe pain.
But yeah. And then meanwhile, I'm not even expressing
how much pain,
like, can't even explain.
I was going to ask you to try and describe how painful it was when it was painful. You can't?
I would.
Like there's no words?
Yeah, there was definitely no words going to do it justice, but on a simpler level, I would just say that it felt like I was being stabbed by 1,000 knives. I was...
That's the nerve damage stuff, right?
Yeah, a lot of different stuff, yeah.
Damn.
I was...
How'd you get better?
Kerosene poured on me, being lit on fire.
Oh.
Feeling the ache in literally every joint, every part of my body. It's like so intense that I literally just would want to rip my limbs off because it would give me some sense of relief.
Wow.
And then the pressure of like an elephant sitting on you. And
holy Toledo.
Just a lot of different...
You put together some words to describe it. It's a great description because those are all horrific. And then how long did it take you to recoup? Do you feel good now? I
feel much better. So I spent over a decade in Western medicine, doing some surgeries, doing
were you disabled?
Lots of medications, yeah.
So you couldn't work, or you were on?
Yeah, I ended up opening my own business and doing something because it killed. That was another thing that killed me is I just hated the fact that I couldn't do anything. You couldn't put me in a job where you just said, show up from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and just sit here and do something. Like I couldn't sleep more than 5-10 minutes at a time.
Oh my goodness.
Like I said, this went on for...
Were you depressed?
For over a decade.
With all the pain and no sleep?
I imagine in some degree I was. But
you were just getting by.
My mentality was always, I'll say this, I never believed that I wouldn't get better.
You knew you would?
I never bought into the fact that I couldn't get better.
Yeah. So you allowed your mind to get better. Your mind allowed you to get better.
Right.
Instead of holding on.
And that's kind of the double-edged sword in a way, because Well, my mom always taught me. I'd wake up, I'm sick, I don't feel good. And she'd go, honey, you know what you do when you're sick? You get up, you take a shower, you put on your favorite outfit, and you go outside and you do something fun. And there's so much truth that into the way of how much, from the mental perspective, of how we can play into things to make things worse and manifest things worse.
Yeah.
And how we can step through those things.
Yeah.
So in a way, I can, every moment it's looking back, I wouldn't have known at the time how deeply of a struggle and challenge I was going through because of the game I was playing with myself.
Yeah.
But looking back, I'm like, holy shit, I cannot even fathom that. But then on the other side of that, so one way it was, again, like survival, kind of like what I was talking about with law enforcement or anybody, or even people living in the survival. It's like one way you're needing to do this to get through. But then on the other side of it is there were so many opportunities in that for me to move past misbeliefs and judgments about asking for help or what it would mean if I were to be like that. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. So.
Well, the first part I got, but what do you try? What's the point?
Well, the point of it is there was massive opportunities for me to grow and learn from that experience. And one was I had a lot of misbeliefs around it was weakness to ask for help.
Oh, I see. So what I'm hearing is it was situations are going to happen. Yours happened. Mm-hmm. And you spent a lot of time trying to fight what was happening with your body as opposed to jumping into the learning right away or jumping into the learning of the situation and being in a new way. I don't know.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is there was so many opportunities at the same time of how am I relating to, because I don't know with your viewers and their perspectives on life, but
I love them,
but through my journey, through my experiences in my journey, I really believe that we have the experiences that we have in life at opportunities to grow, opportunities to learn. I'm looking at looking at your people.
Hi, people.
Or there are those people. There's all kinds of people here.
So, yeah.
So it's
I
been my
stop you.
Okay, stop me.
Is that okay? Oh, I do want to because I think we're kind of touching around the same thing a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I got it. You want to say what you want to say in just like a sentence so I can start asking you personal questions?
Oh, this is very personal. I was just diving into some of the deepest things that I experienced in my life was through that. Well, but we can go into something else.
No, wait. Well, no, I want to hear more about you and how it's affected you. Yeah, absolutely.
We can certainly. I can swim all over the place, so we can just dive into what you have on your mind, and somehow it'll tie back in. I bet you anything. At least in my mind, it will. It's all connected.
Did you get a brain injury from that?
Yeah, probably. Who knows?
No, but when you have your thing with your thinking, your forgetful, not the thing we were talking about before, where I don't have memory recall. So people say, "Did you have fun last night?" And I go, "What's last night?" Yeah. And little man goes up the stairs to the whiteboard. It's blank. Yeah. And someone has to say Jill's house. And I go, "Oh my God, it was so much fun!" But I'm missing the link to get right to the information. But why do you have that?
Well, because I like to take the bright side on everything. I just like to believe it's because I love to be present and live in the now.
But it wasn't from a traumatic brain injury or something.
Probably, perhaps. Who knows? I didn't spend a lot of time trying to figure out what's wrong with me.
Yeah. Well, I keep feeling like, wow, I can't remember. And then I have to remember I did have a traumatic brain injury that knocked something off. Yeah. And that's how it just rolls now. But still, I'm like, seriously, I can't again remember what.
Are you also, though, do you live very much in the now?
Yeah, I do.
Right. So, I think, honestly, I think there's an element. I always called it my mental Rolodex. And I moved around a lot growing up. And so I didn't spend a lot of time talking about the past, the things that I did or things that happened. And as time goes, it just kind of like gets further back in the Rolodex. And if someone doesn't bring it up, it just falls off and it's gone forever.
And I am always in the present moment. So when people are talking about something that happened before, I'm like, it's done. Like I'm already walking that way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I
Definitely.
totally get that.
Do you think anybody knows what a Rolodex is anymore?
I have one like under a
Do you?
desk somewhere
That's awesome.
from when I worked in the early 90s. Yeah.
I love it.
What I found when you wrote something before you came is after the thing happened, that event happened, and after you were kind of laid up, what was it, the pivotal thing? Was that the thing that got you moving in a new direction? Obviously, because you couldn't be a cop. But how'd you get to USM and what was that?
That's a great question.
Hey, thank you.
You're great at this.
Thank
Anybody
you.
ever tell you that? It's that good, huh?
Yeah.
I love it. So I met an amazing holistic practitioner, and it shifted my life forever. I started to understand. Now, keep in mind, before I had went to the top surgeons that work at Stanford, work on the NFL players. They told me, Danny, you're just lucky to be alive. We do more surgeries, but more than likely it's going to be the same or worse. And then yada, yada, just keep taking your medication and go on. And I'm going, wow, I'm 29 years old. Like, how long could I possibly live
In this pain.
on this pain and all these medications that we know cause liver, kidney, this, that, whatever it is. And so I met this amazing holistic practitioner, and I thought it was crazy because there was part of me that trusted, because I ended up opening a ballroom dance studio. I owned and operated a ballroom dance studio for a while. And so
Why?
Why not?
Well, wait, could you move your body?
No, I wasn't teaching it. I just was running it.
What made you think for a second, I guess I'll go ballroom dancing?
So as I wasn't going ballroom.
No, but I guess I'll go in that direction and open a studio and
Well,
hire
you know
ballroom
what?
dancers
Boy,
to
you're-
teach people. That's a funny, just out of the blue.
Well, that's me. I'm
Yeah.
very eclectic, and I don't really.
All right, so you're running
Yeah.
a ballroom dance place.
So I'm running a ballroom dance studio. This lady comes in to take lessons. She sits down with me in the office to close a package with me, and I'm like, "Hey, what do you do?" And she's, "Oh, I'm a holistic practitioner, this and that." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, what are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, maybe you can help me." But really, be honest, like mostly just bullshitting around, because come on, I had already went to these amazing specialists and experts, and,
No one can help.
some woo-woo bullshit's gonna make me better over that? Probably not, right? But she's like, "Yeah, I could totally help you with that." I was like, "Are you?" I don't know. It was an amazing experience, because something in me said there's something here, and I also, like I mentioned before, I wasn't willing to give up, that there was an option for me. So she wanted to buy 2 weeks. She was from out of town. She was only going to be there 2 weeks. Wanted to buy 2 weeks of lessons for me every day. So I was like, okay, great. I said, well, how about we do an exchange? I'll do
Work with
sessions
you.
with you, and you get free private lessons. She's like, all right, great. And this is where like the massive shift occurred in my life, because she was doing her own form of energy work, using a combination of muscle testing and psychokinesiology, working on not only conscious but the subconscious mind, clearing blockages and traumas, whether they're emotional, physical, psychological, spiritual, and so forth, and realigning the body. And see, the body is naturally designed to regenerate and to heal itself. So if it's not, the question is like, why? What's interfering? What's blocking it? How can we clear that, realign that?
I love that.
Yeah, it's accurate.
To remember, it's good to be reminded of that our bodies are healers.
Absolutely.
They know how to get us back on par if we allow that flow to happen, if we're not holding on to things or blocking things.
Totally.
Yeah.
And sometimes thinking about it and just our thought is enough. And other times, from my experience, that's not always the case, because sometimes it's disconnected. So the way I thought about it in a layman's way back in the day was, well, if I had a laptop, I get a new laptop, it's fast, I can surf the internet, everything goes great. But over time, it starts, like life starts to bog down.
Are we getting another metaphor?
Yes, we are. That's why I live life. I promise not to go too long with it.
Yeah, let's make it a short metaphor.
And so sometimes we get a virus, we run a virus scan and it identifies it and we can clear it out. Sometimes you run it and it comes back clean, but it's actually not clean. It just wasn't able to identify where it was. So in the same thing through the work, it's like, how can we clear those blockages, realign it, and then allow the body. So it's not so much like I'm healing itself. You or I'm but it's like your body is doing the work, you're going to get
out of its way.
Right. You're doing the things to get in alignment and things to support it. So not only that, but learning how to really understand deeply the foods I ate and how it affected me energetically, the vibrations, how to, I also needed to understand the environment around us and how different frequencies and vibrations affected how the body functions. And so it was my job to really get myself and my environment in alignment so that my body can do its work.
How long did you work with her?
I worked with her for a year. And then and then she became a mentor and she taught me the work and I began to do the work myself, the very same energy work.
Wow. I thought you were just a cute fellow with a good cop story, but you're creating really cool things that are making a difference and you have such awareness and you're so present.
Thank you very much.
So I was sitting there and I saw that you finished your glass of water and that you were kind of like a little bit. And so I was thinking, should I just reach over him and refill his water as he's telling his story? And then I thought, no, shut your mind and listen to a story. So that was just for a minute, but I just realized how you were so present. It's really, I don't see that very often.
Thank you very much.
And your eye contact is incredible. And no, I'm being serious because you're locked and loaded. I mean, you're locked and loaded with your eyeball. Like no one has ever been before sitting in that chair. So when Danny and I went to school together, we had to soul gaze, right? Yeah. So they put on music and you have to take people's hands and soul gaze with them. I tried to do this with an actor who came on here named Neil Flynn, who's super closed off. He's kind of an old curmudgeon. I love him so much. But he's just, I'm set my ways and I do it this way and I have no with your woo-woo bullshit. And then I was like, well, then just take my hands and soul gaze with me. And we did it for 5 seconds. And he goes, this is mumbo jumbo. It just made me laugh. But I want to soul gaze with you because you're already soul gazing with me.
I love that.
Okay, let's soul gaze. So we just are going to look at each other for a minute, not a minute because I think it's almost over, but we're just looking at our true selves, our souls, which is such a gift because we don't get to do that very often with people. And he just told me he's starting to date a new girl. Will she soul gaze with you, do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Have you yet?
Yes, but not in the
not in this way. Oh, okay. I was going to say something more, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so beautiful. That was a short one. It's already over.
Wow. I hope that's not what she said.
But that's not what your new girlfriend said?
Definitely not. As I cross my legs.
Well, that's a whole thing with I'm learning more about, I don't even know what it's called, but where men don't orgasm, they save it. And so they can last a long time doing that. I think that sounds really interesting. Do you do that?
How did we
translate? I think because we were talking about you and your girlfriend.
I have heard a lot about that, and
so you don't know about
interesting.
That?
I do. I know I have heard about it. Absolutely.
But you're not practicing it.
Well, I was before I was dating somebody. Now I'm
with yourself.
What's that? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I stopped turning myself on a long time ago.
No. Oh, wait. We'll talk after the show. I think we're going.
This is a whole new segment. We gotta.
You have to come back.
But I love to transition quickly, so I'm down with that.
Okay.
It's all the same to me.
Would you be open to giving me a hug
I
right
would
now?
love
Because
to.
the show's over. Oh,
Yes.
is there anything you're working on? Or you would like them to check you out? Or do you want them to follow you somewhere?
Well, yeah. I mean, if
Tell.
you're interested, am I allowed to look at the thing now?
Now you can look at
Which one do
someone
you-
other than me.
If you're interested in seeing some of the things I'm doing, or just even have a question and want to chat, you can find me at the Danny McFarland on Instagram. So that's THE, and then Danny McFarland, McFarland.
The Danny McFarland.
Danny McFarland. And I'm working on several projects right now. And actually, I'm interested in if there's any like-minded people you enjoy what I'm saying, you think that resonates with you. I would love to look for people to collaborate with, for sure. I'm writing I'm co-creating a featured comedy right now that will be improvised.
We're not going to that
We're
right
not going
now.
all that?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just asked how they can contact you or what you want them to check out.
And what I'm up to, I thought you said.
No, that should have happened already in the podcast.
Oh.
But you talked too
much.
No, too good about
much.
your stuff. So we didn't get to go all over the place because you said a lot of interesting stuff.
Well, I'll come back if you ever want to dig into the other questions that you didn't get to.
No, I'll just ask you after.
All right.
Sign up for my podcast. I'll put the link on here for half off. October 18 through 20 in LA. I would like to see you there.
I would love to be there.
Will you come?
What day was it on?
It's October 18. It's a Friday night and then Saturday, Sunday.
Sounds cool.
We'll have a little mixer, cocktails on Friday night,
Sounds
and
like
then
a lot of fun.
Saturday, Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And you could bring your girl too.
All right.
And if you're not dating her, then he'll be there, girls, because there's going to be about 100 women.
Oh.
Yeah, and there are lots of cute ones.
Hopefully that doesn't influence anything.
Oh, with your girlfriend? Girlfriend, what's her name? No, whatever your name is, in case you're watching, love him. I'm so happy you're dating. I hope it works out. But if it doesn't, hey, ladies. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. Okay.
Everything happens the way it's supposed to.
Oh, yeah.
We need a hug.
And
I thought we were hugging,
we're going to hug, but we have to stand up. And subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already.
Please, she's amazing.
Wait, what happened? Live video stopped. Oh, well.
Subscribe now.
Okay.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, yes. So good to see you.
Yes, yeah.
I forgot I was on stilts.
Stability.
Okay.